So today I'm going to take a look at this fact check here from a company called Logically. It actually dates back from November 2021, so it's reasonably old, but I think it's interesting because some of the mistakes in here. And I think what particularly irks me is that fact checkers kind of have an air of authority, and certainly some of them are used by tech companies to flag up posts that they think are problematic, or even I think in some cases actually kind of to censor them and then post a link to the fact check that they think debunks what somebody's posted. So the first thing to note here is it's pretty sloppy. The headline says there is an increased risk of heart attacks following mRNA COVID-19 vaccines, and they've marked this as misleading. It's not misleading because actually at the end of the article they actually admit that there is an increased risk of heart attack, but that such things are actually pretty rare. And if we actually look at the first sentence that's in the fact check, what they're really fact checking is that there is no evidence to suggest there is a substantial risk of heart problems. So basically the headline there is wrong. That needs correcting. If we look at this, one of the problems with this company's fact checks is that they don't link to either the videos or the articles or social media posts of the thing that they're actually fact checking. So in this case, it's actually an interview with a cardiologist, Dr. Aseem Molhatra, that he gave to GB News. Now I've actually kind of found that. I'll put it in the URL in the description so that you can have a look at it yourself. So in the fact check here, apparently Molhatra was referring to some paper, well it's not actually a peer-reviewed paper, but by somebody called, I think it's Stephen Gundry, and apparently there were various issues with that paper. So I'm not particularly kind of interested in that. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt about their response to that particular paper. But the interesting thing is that they actually don't mention here that Dr. Molhatra in the video though is careful to caveat this. So he talks in the video. He talks about this paper, and he does say afterwards, and if this is true. And also at the end of the interview where he talks about some other things which are mentioned in the fact check, which we'll get on to, he does say if this signal, as in the signal about potential myocarditis problems with the vaccine, is strong and correct, then effectively that there's something maybe needs investigating. So the fact check here doesn't really give him credit there for those qualifications about things he's commenting on. They make it seem as though he was citing these things as definitive evidence, which he isn't. Okay, and then if we go down here, there's one thing that really kind of struck me. So they're saying that Molhatra mentions that he's received information from anonymous researchers about this, and that he also mentions other cardiologists who told him that patients referred to their clinics with heart problems are becoming younger and younger. And the fact checker goes on to say all of these examples are anecdotal and unverifiable and cannot be treated as legitimate. Now, it's certainly true that anecdotal evidence isn't definitive, but it can certainly suggest areas that need looking into further research. So I think they've overstated that. I think at best what they should say is anecdotal and it's unverifiable, unless he was to give us the details of those other cardiologists, and that it possibly suggests that there's research needed, but we certainly can't take it as definitive. One particular example we can look at actually with anecdotal evidence. So we certainly need to be careful not to overstate anecdotal evidence about anything, but clearly anecdotal evidence can turn out to be early indications of a major problem. We only have to look at the absolute biggest one here in the last few years. So this is a BBC News article about Li Wenliang, who was the doctor in China who first reported some cases of what he thought was a new virus like SARS, and he actually died unfortunately from the virus. So the article gives a bit of details there, and somewhere down there it mentions that he'd noticed some cases and then tried to raise the alarm about that, and the Chinese authorities clearly weren't happy about it. What it does go to show is that anecdotal evidence could actually be early indications of a major problem. And we all know what's happened with the coronavirus pandemic that this guy first identified. I mean, it's also possible, and this is maybe a subjective view, it's also possible that when this fact checker says that anecdotal evidence cannot be treated as legitimate, it's not just naive, but it's possibly ideological as well. Yeah, and then if we go down to the bottom of the fact check, it says the research Molhatra provides in the GB News clip is not credible, and his statements could spark fears over the safety of COVID-19 vaccines. Well, he certainly did qualify his concerns, so he wasn't being overly confident about it, and it's certainly right that a cardiologist should at least raise potential concerns about this kind of thing.